And we're back. We're moving on to the House of Earth, which is more about skill and precision than it is about intelligence. So let's get good. That was terrible. So we have childhood's biggest fear, quicksand. Unlike in other games, quicksand will not actually kill you. It'll sink you to about your waist and make you really slow, but you'll never actually fall the way and die. What will kill you is that worm that just killed player 2 right there. You don't see its shadow immediately. You actually have to go on the quicksand a bit for that shadow to appear, after which that worm will not come out unless you're stationary for a split second. It's difficult to nail the timing correctly, so you want to move as much as you can. Eventually he will pop out, allowing you to circle around him. Contact will kill you, so be careful when you try to go around him. I recommend that one person stays on physical ground so that it is easier to wrap around him when he does emerge. Our other enemy here is another spear guy, but unlike the other spear people in this labyrinth, he stays alive for a little bit, flashing white for about 1 or 2 seconds before he finally disappears. You have to be around him the entire time without touching him for him to finally die. Once you finish this stage, move on up. Now the quicksand's getting a little more complex here, but the gist is the same. Do note, however, that if you go from a higher platform to a lower one, you will sink in the quicksand more, resulting in you being very slow until you move out of it. There's a total of 2 worms in this stage, one located in the right section, one on the left. What we're going to do is move towards that bottom right, lure one of the worms to the solid ground area, and then kill it. Those red buttons will temporarily lower the platforms in the middle of the stage, allowing you to get on top of them to have easier access to kill those enemies. You can go after some of those soldiers. I would recommend you try to kill the 2 worms first. Those soldiers may follow you anyway, at which point you can kill them. Once you do all that, make sure you get all 4 of the skeletons, including the hidden one on the bottom left platform, and then you move on to your right. I neglected to mention that this video is actually sponsored by Elgato. I use that recording equipment to record all these videos, and as you can see, that trademark flicker and jump stutter is all Elgato. As the Elgato saying goes, we mess it up 1 out of every 5 times to make you stay on the edge of your seat. Elgato recording equipment. Elgato. If only the House of Earth was about quicksand, but no. Just like we associate sand and dirt with Earth, we associate spikes and conveyor belts with, Mother Nature. These are the stages that require a bunch of precision and skill in order to complete them. We somehow managed to do this one on our first try, but as you'll see in other stages, we'll get shish kebabbed multiple times. For this stage, you need to drop down and hit those red buttons. They will start to make the platforms move, which will make it more difficult to get to the other side. However, you have to have them move in order to get to the bottom and top doors eventually. There isn't really an easy way to do this. What you'll want to do is position yourself in those middle conveyor belts, which will take you to the right, and you'll have to push against it in order to avoid hitting those spikes. Otherwise, work together to try to go through the same openings, and eventually you'll get to the other side, allowing you to kill that soldier. Be patient, you can do it. After that, you need to get on top of those platforms and make your way to the top room. Make sure you do not cross the platforms until they're fully aligned, otherwise you will drop down and hit those spikes. Good luck. You're going to need more precision for this stage. So go ahead and kill the 2 skeletons that are on the raised platforms that you're on. Then what we want to do is hit the yellow button to the right, which raises the platforms on the left, allowing us to kill those 2 soldiers. Unlike player 2 and I recommend that you drop into the section where the spikes are protruding at regular intervals in that little space. That allows you to not have to go through all those sections with the spikes, and maybe cut down on some of the lives that you may lose. Once you hit that yellow button, you have to work together to get to the other side. So this is a lot of 3, 2, 1, go kind of thing. You're going to really want to make sure that you don't lean diagonally, otherwise you'll careen right into those spikes. Some general tips is you can make it through that middle section in one go if you run as quickly as possible once those spikes recede. After which, you're going to have to get into that conveyor belt right before the next protruding spikes and kind of wait on that conveyor belt until you have an opportunity to pass. Again, this is difficult and you'll get hit, but if you're focused, this actually shouldn't take you that long. I lied, this is a piece of crap stage that made both player 2 and I want to kill each other. What you'll see us do right here is drop down and try to kill the guard on the left, just so that it's out of the way and we don't have to start all over again if we get to him after hitting the button and still die, which we did. The hard part is getting back to the other side. You'll have to keep moving like I did and not pause like player 2 did and die. After which, you do have to go through the whole process of hitting the yellow button and getting to the left side in order to kill the soldier on the right side. And once you're done with that, you can go to the left and cry your tears of relief that you made it through. And you'll hope that you'll never have to deal with anything as bad as this. And I can somewhat reassure you that it won't be as bad moving on. Maybe. Now we have spikes and quicksand. It's a match made in heaven like arson and theft. Now it's not actually that bad, but if we recall that really long water level from the House of Water, this is the equivalent in the House of Earth. The first part is easy. You do have to watch out for how the 2 soldiers will try to pincer you at the beginning, but you'll eventually be able to take them down even if you lose a few lives. Then you'll move on to the bottom level, and you can take some time to look at the patterns of how those platforms move before you go and take out the other soldiers. Once you're done with that easy part, you need to get all the way back up to the right side of the stage and get ready to move on to the right yellow platform. You're going to cross onto it together at the same time in order to push the button down. If only one of you is on top of it, that platform and the other one will continue to move. So you can do this one of two ways. Player 2 and I are going to show you the first way, which is longer but sometimes safer. You're going to have to wait till the other platforms get near yours, and then you're going to walk yourself to the other side of the room. When you're finally on that left top spiky platform, you're going to stay on there for several revolutions while you wait for it to line up perfectly with the yellow platform, just as that yellow platform connects with the left-hand stage where that blue button is. Just like you did on the right, make sure you both step off of the yellow platform at the same time and hit that blue button, which will lower the walls, allowing you to access this point again if you die. Kill that silver key kid, and then get out of that room. If you want to do it the other way, you need to make sure your rope is adequately long enough. One of you is going to get onto that yellow platform. Because both of you aren't on it, it will continue to move. The other person has to follow along on the ground. The toughest part will be is when that person has to drop down to the quicksand and is going to be slower there until they reach solid ground. Like the first solution, the player on the yellow platform is going to slowly make their way to the other side, as the person on the ground avoids the yellow spikes and stays close enough so they don't drag their partner off. This way is a bit faster because it allows the yellow platforms to line more easily with the spiky platforms. However, there's a higher chance of death. So pick your poison. Now we're going to head on back and fight the mini-boss. As you pass by this stage, tell it you hate it, and then move on down. In this room, go ahead and take any platform onto the next area. You can go ahead and kill the skeleton if you like. Okay, we're at the Dowser. This guy employs a giant sandworm to kill you while he flits about the stage. We're going to skip all the times we died and killed the skeletons, but I'm going to keep this one to show how player 2 dies. Yep, there's player 2 dying. Okay, now we're back. And what you're going to want to do is move from platform to platform so that the sandworm does not get you. I didn't test this out, but it seems like if you're moving in a direction in general, he'll never be able to really trap you. It's only if you fall down or stay in place that he'll be able to get you. The Dowser will routinely disappear and teleport to an area away from you. He'll never teleport right next to you, which sucks, but that's how it is. You'll need to make sure that when you're moving across the platforms that you do not drag the worm too closely to you. Because when you get close to the Dowser, he'll run away from you and will disappear if you're not quick enough. One way to manage this stage is if you go from the top and bottom sections from one side to the other, that gives you enough distance away from the sandworm. When you're going against the Dowser himself, one of you will need to push to the left while the other pushes to the right or up and down, kind of like you're pulling against each other. This attack style will make it so that you can adjust accordingly to whichever way the Dowser runs away. If you stay clumped together, he'll be able to worm his way out of your reach. Get close enough and you'll be able to pincer around him, which will kill the sandworm at the same time. Go ahead and get the rest of the skeletons and the silver key kid and go on down. We have some more quicksand and spiky blocks. You're going to move your way to the right side of the stage and go ahead and take out those two soldiers. In that process, both of you will probably step on the blue button, which is perfectly okay. It'll just lower some sections so that we can later move about the stage. You're going to need to go over to that yellow button and step on it, which is going to stop half of the spiky blocks from moving. Stay on that button until the spiky blocks are positioned equally apart from each other, almost like a checkerboard pattern. That's going to give you room to maneuver to get to the other side. To do that, you're going to need to cross over the quicksand, which means you're going to get waist deep by the time you get to the other side, meaning you'll be much slower. You'll see player 2 and I navigate it, The basic strategy is that you can have one person be the leader while the other one follows, and you'll need to hug close to the spiky blocks in order to make sure you have enough room to maneuver all the way to the bottom. You'll slowly weave your way around them until you get to the other side. It may take a few times, but again, patience is key. You are welcome to go to the bottom room first, because we'll be passing through the left room to get out of the labyrinth, but we're going left to begin with. Okay, we got some randomly moving elevators, and we got one soldier apparently in the middle of the stage. However, there are 3 worms hidden about this stage as well, so tread carefully as you do so. One person can stay on the solid ground, while the other person steps off right when the platform moves down. If you do get stuck on the bottom, you're able to theoretically step on solid ground by touching the lining of those platforms. That can be helpful in case you're stuck down there for too long. Kill those 3 worms, get those skeletons, and then go ahead and enter back to the right room, and then we'll be going on down. Now that we're back in this room, do not press the yellow buttons. Instead, move on up and jump onto one of those rows. That'll take you to the midway section where you can step off and go to the bottom room. Compared to the other rooms, this one's not that big of a challenge, but you'll still need to be on your toes lest you get hit by one of those spiky blocks. You can go left or right on this stage. We'll be opting for the right pathway, but our goal is to get to that bottom red button to make the spiky platforms on the left and right start moving. You're going to be dealing with quicksand again, so you just need to be mindful that you don't stay in there for too long. If you're going to the right, you're going to need to go clockwise to that one solid platform on the right. You're going to take a pit stop there before you go back to that red button on the bottom. Once you hit that button, you're going to have to go a full circular pattern again, stopping at the upper stairs to again get out of the quicksand before you're going to go all the way to the right. Once you're able to go up the stairs on the right, you're going to hop on the spiky blocks and make your way to the middle to kill that soldier. Killing him will open up the left pathway, and all you have to do is jump back on those spiky blocks to get to the left side. If you happen to die, you're going to have to redo all this, which is not too big of an issue. You see player 2 and I dying because we did not do the 3-2-1. Whether that was player 2's fault or mine, I do not remember, but we'll say it's her fault. We now have a review room for you to test all of the skills you've gained throughout this house. It's our final one, so make it good. The one soldier that will probably give you a hard time, and it gave us a hard time, is that upper left one. You're going to need to get in his peripheral vision to have him lunge at you, and then with that small space you have, you're going to have to wrap around him. It took us a few deaths, maybe you'll be more lucky than us. Do note that there are 2 sandworms, one in the upper portion, one in the bottom portion. Each of those platforms have a lengthy waiting period in between rising and falling, so use those to your advantage to escape its grasp if you need to. Otherwise, just be mindful not to fall where the spikes are and not to fall directly into the quicksand lest you get stuck in it. Kill all those soldiers and go after that final silver key kid. Now that we're back in this room, you have 2 ways to get back to the upper room. You can either ride the stone elevators all the way up. However, it's a little finicky because you're going to need to stop in that center platform with the skeleton, hop off the side, and make a mad dash to the stairs up top. However, as you'll see, you get stuck in the quicksand and may not be able to make it the full way before those spiky blocks kill you. Player 2 and I died, I think, 3 times, so we opted to go the slow way, which is simply walking across the quicksand as we did previously. Again, pick your poison. Now hop to your left, and then once you go in that left room, you're going to go on up and take a left again out of this house. Congrats, you did it again. Hopefully you didn't lose as many lives as we did. And next we're going to go visit the House of Fire, which is located to the north. We'll see you then. Until next time, well, bye.